welcome to the stage, metaphorically, if you like, the incredible Anita Davies. This woman, honestly, if you think you've had some shit in your life, this woman will help you realise that you probably have had shit. And it may well be as bad as hers, and it may not be, and it may be even worse. But she's going to tell you how you can get over that and just have a life. I just love being around Anita. Look at that lovely smile on your face. Anita, it's over to you, lovely, the amazingly, incredibly, uniquely you. Let's hear all about it.
Good morning, everybody. It's still morning, so I'm going to say good morning. Just check the time, just make sure it was good morning and not the afternoon. But yes, lovely to be here. Thank you, Marion and Cheryl, for putting on today, and thank you everyone who has joined us today and is supporting the event. I absolutely have loved my journey with the WHYsWomen and being in the council. I joined, actually, I think it was about October, around end of September, October last year. And it has been an amazing journey in that short period of time that I've been with you. Now, my talk today is about the elements. And if I was completely, to be honest, and open and upfront with everyone, which is one of my values in life, actually, I haven't actually prepared my speech properly today, because part of my element is that I like to be in flow. I like to I've always struggled in the work that I've done all the way through my life, when I've done talks, when I've done training, whenever I've needed to be, expressing something to people, I found when I practiced, it never came out the way that I practiced it. And part of me wanted to be able to understand why that was, because, you're always kind of taught, well, you need to do this, 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 and this. And it's always really good to have those tools, to have a structure to what you're doing, so that you kind of got that flow where you need to go. And I do work to that structure, but I always find that if I try to memorize every word that I want to say, then it never comes out how I want to say it. And it's interesting I should say that, because I actually do have a really good memory for things. And that's how actually one of the ways I function. And the reason that I have a good memory, I've kind of enabled myself to have a good memory for things, is because I actually don't see very well. I'm registered as blind, which means that I can see colour and shape, but I don't see detail. So if I was to meet you, I don't really know what you look like. I couldn't describe your face. So you can be as beautiful to me, or as absolutely bloody ugly to me as I want you to be, really. So I make my theory in life is, the thing I live to is to actually see everybody for the beautiful person that they are, the essence that they are, which takes me to the elements. So we are all, where I work on the 5 elements, the Chinese elements. And I do this whether I do my Chinese astrology or whether I do it through my therapy work. And the 5 elements, just for you to have an idea what they are, they're basically fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And these go in a flow, in a cycle. And today you've actually heard Wendy mention that she was in her element when she was working, that she felt that she was in flow and she was doing what she wanted to do. And that then there was changes coming up in her life. You heard Sophia talking about like how she was having these messages, these indications that there was these other things that she needed to connect to and resonate in her life of the journey that she was supposed to be taking, and that she maybe hadn't been paying attention to them and she'd been sitting on the fence. And you've heard Marion also talking about like feeling the things that are within you. Now, these are all part of your elements. So what you feel inside of you is part of your elements. And even though ideally we need all 5, and we do have all 5, but sometimes, those elements can either be strong in us or they can be weak. Now, every element has a quality to it. And I just mentioned now that I have, I talked about structure, and I talked about having the fact that I remember things, I put it into my brain like a filing cabinet, and then I can regurgitate it that way. That is part, if I just give you an example, that is part of having metal in my elements. Metal gives me structure. The water gives me flow. And it's also about like my emotions. The wood is about my growth, and it's about my strength in my growth. The fire is about how I connect people and the joy that I have in my life. And the earth is about how I'm grounded and how I nurture myself. So if all of those elements in flow, then I'm grounded and I'm nurtured. I have the structure to my life. I'm able to kind of plan and process and do and feel secure. If I'm in flow, then obviously I can kind of create things and I can understand my emotions. And if my wood is strong, then I have that growth and I can have that strength. And I can then move on to like my fire, which is how I connect and I feel that joy in my life. And we all want to feel joy, don't we? I mean, put your hand up and maybe put it in the chat box so I can actually interact with the chat box, because if I put the chat box on, then my speech starts to work and then I can't hear what you're saying. And so that actually just brings me on to the fact that, you know, when I come to the Wise Women, I actually found one of the things, it helped me find what it was that I actually wanted to focus on in my life. So even though I love the elements, and it actually tells you a lot about you, it tells you about your personalities and things, but it also helps you understand what you're limited to. And all of my life, because of my sight loss, and anybody who has a disability or knows anybody with a disability or an ill health issue will be able to understand and resonate with this. Because when you have a disability or an illness, people will say to you, oh, you can't do that because of whatever the reasons are. You know, and a lot of that might be because of their own insecurities. And my son is watching today, and he has cerebral palsy. He's born with cerebral palsy, and he's had his own amazing journey. But I remember as a parent, you know, when he was younger, as his mother, I was worried about him. You know, the first time he said to me, "Mum, I want to be able to walk to school with my friends on my own." Now, you know, that should be quite a simple thing to do, really, walking to school with your friends. You shouldn't really have to worry about, you know, your child walking to school, because, you know, that's what most kids can do. But for Kettle, my son, it was a challenge for him because he's got a physical disability. And my focus for him was to actually get him to be as physically able and as independent and as unlimited in his life as he could be. But of course, that first idea of him walking to school on his own, I was thinking, well, what if he falls over? You know, what if he, you know, when he was using his chair, what if he comes out of his chair? What if he has an accident? And it was always like, what if? And that would be me worrying about that. Now, you know, Sophia was talking about sitting on the fence. And, you know, when you're worried about something, you will either sit on the fence or you'll go one side of the fence or the other. And even though I didn't want Kettle to feel limited in his life, I also wanted to keep him safe. But my challenge was like, well, okay, do I take a deep breath and stand back and allow him to do that? And just kind of find a process that works for me, have a structure that works for me to help me allow him to walk to school on his own with his friends and have that independence and just be a normal kid. So I had to find strategies to help me do that. And the way that I did that was actually to understand who I am and work on my elements. And that's just like one example of how I used my elements to help me actually manage to make those choices and not to be overprotective or not to limit other people and not to limit myself. Because when we limit ourselves, it means that we don't grow, that we stay where we are. We stay sitting on the fence, like Sophia mentioned, you know, we're not really connecting to who we are. We're not feeling that true essence of us. And by that, not doing that, you're not really having that joy that you should be having in your life, because you're feeling that freedom of being able to flow and go in whatever direction you want. And you don't want other people to limit you. And that's one of the things that I've always stood by, having my own disabilities, not having other people limit me in what I can and can't do. I know what I can and can't do. And when it comes to something I can't do, I ask myself, well, why can't I do that? So I tune into that element of me that I feel is telling me that I can't do it. So I'll just give you a quick example of what, you know, one of those elements. So earth element is, as I mentioned, it's about us feeling grounded. It's about us feeling nurtured in our lives. So if I notice within myself that maybe I'm having some digestive problems, you know, maybe things that I'm eating, I'm not being very tolerant to, or allergies are tending to come up for me, or I'm starting to feel a bit insecure. I'm starting to worry about things, procrastinate. I mean, does anybody here sort of have, you know, do you procrastinate? Do you worry about things? Do you, when you're worried about things, are you eating healthily, or are you starting to kind of eat more kind of biscuits and chocolate and things that maybe are not so great for you? I'm not saying biscuits and chocolate. I mean, some people might think biscuits and chocolates are really great for them, you know, but are you changing your diet? Are you kind of going into the fridge or to the biscuit jar a bit more than maybe you need to? So if you pay attention to those things, you can notice, well, okay, maybe there's something going on with my earth element. You know, maybe if your structure's going out of your day, you're starting to notice patterns and habits and traits about what you're doing, and you're losing that structure, or maybe you're not giving enough time to yourself. So that creative part of you is kind of going. You're not maybe painting or writing or doing whatever it is that creative thing is for you. And so you not notice these patterns in yourself. So that's what I do. And I'm looking at my earth element. I'm looking, well, what's going on with me? And what am I doing that's created me to worry more? And I'm recognizing that that's part of my earth element. And so they can start then nurturing myself, because that's what earth is about. It's about nurturing, it's feeling grounded. And that the exercise Marion's just done with us, actually, the stretching exercise, that is actually, interestingly, it's an earth element exercise. It helps you to be grounded. So just doing certain exercises, you can actually connect to your elements. Now, how do you connect to your element? So to connect to your element, it's, you know, it can be as simple as feeling, just sitting, being and feeling, and asking yourself, what is my strong element? Because I said you've got all five, but when you have all five, you're looking at what is your strongest element. What it is it you can pull on today and actually use to help you get through that day, so you're not feeling limited. And is it earth element, or is it, you know, you need some structure, so it's your metal, you need some flow, so it's your water, you need some growth, so it's your wood, you need some joy, so it's your fire. And, you know, so just ask yourself, which element do I need today? Which one do I need to help me get through today? Which one do I need so that to hold within me, so I don't feel limited? And that's what that's what I practice. And if I was to take you back to July 2006, so my daughter had just been born, I'd just going from my divorce. I was divorcing my daughter's dad. I'd moved house. And of course, I had me and Kathleen to look after. And also my sight was deteriorating as well at the time. And while I was pregnant, I fell downstairs and I had a rotated pelvis, which meant that walking was very painful and difficult. So I had quite a few challenges going on in my life at that point, all going on at the same time. And I made the decision of like, well, it's either go to the doctors and get medication, which I knew was going to work, wasn't going to work for me, or go and actually do something completely different and work on myself, because there was so much going on in my life at the time. It was like, well, what is this all about? Just as Sophia mentioned, you know, she had these little indications, these messages, these signs that something needed to change in their life. Well, I think we all could say that we get those messages. I mean, again, you know, put your hands up if you would say, you know, do you get those messages that you maybe sometimes don't listen to? Well, I had these messages coming to me big time. You know, as I mentioned, I was losing myself, I moved house, I literally just had a baby. Kathleen, it was me and Kathleen to look after. Kathleen had his own challenges because of his disability. And, you know, I had this rotated pelvis and there was loads of things going on. So if I wasn't listening to the messages at that point, you know, somebody really needs to come with a bomb and stick it up my bum and actually sort of go, come on, get on with your life. So at that point, I decided to go down the complementary therapy route, and I've learned crystals and I've done Emmett and I've done all sorts of different modalities. But 2 years ago, my life changed again. And it was another one of those big signs, you know, you need to go to this next level of learning about yourself. which is how I got into public speaking. I met Cheryl Marion, and I got into a few other things. And actually that's got me to where I am today. So along that journey of all the different challenges I've had is where I've had to learn about, like, there's been another level of around my limitations, and actually just standing here talking to you all without any kind of structure or script, going through my, that I was going to follow, you know, not been having the challenges of like, just going to check the time now because I think my time is nearly up, but having that challenge of like, well, you know, what do I talk about today, and how am I going to explain that to you? So all I want to say to you is, you know, find your why, which is what I found. It was to help people go from that limitation that they felt they had in their life, so they can move forward, they can be who they want to be, and they can be grounded, they can be that connection to themselves, all of the things that everybody else has said to you today, and actually feel that joy in your life. Feel that essence of you, who you truly are. So connect to your element, and that's my challenge to you today. Go and find which element you are. Be with you, be with yourself, and have an amazing, just enjoy the rest of this day, and allow it to be amazing for you, whatever that might be for you. And thank you all for listening to me. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on the FindYourWHY lounge, or I'm not going to put my details in the messenger thing at the moment because I won't be able to listen to everyone else. But through Marion and Cheryl, you'll be able to get in touch with me if you want to learn more about your elements. And I'm sure we'll find a way of getting that information to you. But you can find me on Facebook as well. That's another way of finding me. But thank you all for listening to me, and connect to your elements, connect to your why, and have an amazing day.
Oh, thank you very much, Anita. Whoop, 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 whoop. Even
Anita.
Well done, Anita. Well done. One of the stories that I love about Anita, and she won't mind me sharing it, is when she was pushing the pram. She got Ketlin next to her. She'd got this rotated hip injury, and she's trying to run for a bloody bus. She can't see, bearing in mind. Do you know what I mean? And she's like going down but just like running, or riding down a hill in Wales, not being able to see, just on a bike, just because she wanted to, because she liked the feeling. Do you know what I mean? And then just saying to people as she could see shadows coming towards her, "Get out of the way! I can't see." Love it, love it, love it, love it. And I'm sure there's many more stories to come. Thank you, Anita. Thank you for being inspirational, amazing, and just, you know, putting things into perspective. I've done some element work with her. Next year's my year, so watch out. If you think I'm loud now, wait till next year.